Hi everyone, Mixie here. Today I'll show you how I was able to win two different prizes on this machine configuration. So it's the configuration in which there is a metal grid hanging on this kind of like L platform, and you have to drop the grid to win the display prize. So I haven't won on this machine as far as I can remember, and I've been avoiding it because I just couldn't figure out the trick of how to win it there. But then when I saw these replays for this figure, I felt a little inspired to play for it again. So here's the first replay of how someone won on this machine configuration. So they just pretty much lifted it, and I don't know if it's like with technique or luck, but pretty much when it fell, it just fell off. So I was like, oh, okay, wow, that's awesome. And then here's the second, like another way of how someone won it is that they aim very close to the front so that the grid kind of goes more vertical and sways off of the platform. So I was like, okay, I've tried the first way like before when I first started Toreba, and I was not able to win anything, so I've been staying away. But I was like, okay, for the second method of swaying, that's something that I think I can do. So when I saw these cute Kirby's, I was like, hey, let me try this. So I go for the front, and I was actually too close. So you see that actually I screwed it up. I actually pulled it back more onto the platform. So honestly, I should have stopped playing at this point because it's actually would take a lot more plays, and it did take a lot more plays. So it's almost two squares onto the platform. So I had to play a bunch of more times to get it back to one square. So here I try again, and I made sure to not go too close to the front so that it would bring it back. And I try to bring this vertical so that it would sway, so that this portion would fall off slowly off of this corner. So I'm more to the right, really trying to get as much movement. So this one I actually try and lift this grid with the claw to see if I can kind of swing it more off of this platform. And I swear that did almost absolutely nothing. Maybe it's like a little millimeter closer to falling off, but I was like, that method's not working for me. So for this move, I aim much closer to the front and really try to get this thing as vertical as possible so that it can slam down and slide off. It did slide off a little bit. So I was like, okay, that seems to be working. That had some movement. So let me still kind of go for the front, try to make this thing go vertical like that. And then when it lets go, I'll slam down on here on this corner and kind of sway off. So when I go right, I put here and then slightly back, like, oh, and then it does slide, I say, another few millimeters. So it's definitely a very slow and steady way of winning on this machine configuration. So I tried something a little different. I didn't move as much right, and got this thing to go super vertical. And did you see it slam down and it kind of vibrated and slid off more? So I was like, okay, that's even better. Let's not go as far right. Go closer to the left side, very close to the front. Get this thing to be a super vertical and slam down. So that was a really good one. It slammed down and vibrated, so it fell off more. So now I have about half of the square left to go. So since that was working well, I just kept with that same strategy. Aim for the front, get it vertical, slam down, and it definitely vibrated and swayed. So I have about like a third of this square to fall off now. Ooh, Ooh, so that one's a pretty good one too. So now there's like just a small corner hanging over here. So I'd say like for this one, if you don't mind like all the plays, I'd say it's not bad for beginners because as long as you stay away from lifting it like crazy and bringing it back, or like the front and lifting it, what I did for my first play, it's a very steady win. So if you found a prize that you really liked over here, that I would say it's very winnable, but it does take quite a few plays unless you want to try the whole like chancing lifting it and having it throw down to hopefully throw it off the platform. Or maybe that will throw it off far enough, and then when it gets to this point, you can try this aiming for the front method, because it is definitely very tedious. But I would say like since these actually do take the free plays still at this time, that you can technically try lifting it, see if it falls down, doesn't work, then just kind of walk away. So I'm so close. There's pretty much just like a little bit of plastic hanging on here. So I only need a couple more plays to get this thing to swing off of this corner. So close. So close. So same thing, and here we go. There's just the tiniest bit attached here, so I'm able to get this to swing, and there it goes. Yay! So that was super tedious, but if you find a prize here on this machine, I'd say go for it, but I'd say don't play until you have like, I guess, one square or less on this corner, because as you can see, it can take quite a few plays to get it to fall, unless you try the first method of having it pick up and fling off. So here's the second time I played for a different prize, a Gudetama, and I definitely wanted to play when it was only one square off of this platform. And it's actually tilted a bit more than when I played for the Kirby. So I don't know if you saw that, but like basically I was cheated out in my first play because it closed here. So as it went down, it actually closed prematurely. Ah, what was that? Oh, so that was kind of annoying. So I tried again. Aimed for the front and not much to the right to really get this thing as vertical as possible. So I don't know if you've noticed, but there's actually sticky tape here in this back platform that helps prevent it from just sliding off. And this method of when I'm playing for the Gudetama, it seems to be moving the back actually sliding right, so that it's causing this to become more and more vertical, as well as it slightly slipping off of the front corner. So same method, going for the front, trying to get this as vertical as possible so that it can sway off of this corner and on the back as well. So I have about like half of a square left on this front corner. So I noticed for this one, I wasn't able to get the grid to slam down like I did for the Kirby, and it just kind of like vibrated off. This one, it just ends up, because it's slightly vertical, just kind of swaying. Just keep swaying. Have still about like what, a half to 1/3 of a corner left on this thing. Definitely going much closer to the front, very little movement right. Really trying to get this thing to go as vertical as possible so that I can have the most maximum swinging. So there's just a little corner here. like swaying and swaying. So pretty much nothing, I guess, super different about winning this. It's really just getting this to move back and forth as much as possible because it kind of just ends up wiggling out from this corner. So now there's a lot less sticky tape on this. This has been slowly migrating the top of the grid right. Ooh, that one slipped a lot on the front corner. Same method, front, getting this thing to swing, and I'm so close, so close. And this part, if you notice, it's almost off of the sticky bar. I've been moving the back consistently, that this has becoming super vertical, and there's actually a lot of space here I started to notice. So like just like a little corner. So I could have even done the same method, but I ended up doing something different. I ended up going all the way to the back because I noticed the claw would fit here. And when it comes back up, it would do its thing by opening up and whacking it. There it goes. So I hope you were able to learn a few things from that. I mean, it was definitely a very slow process, but kind of very steady. Like this grid wouldn't really get stuck. So as long as you didn't like go ahead and lift it and have it start from like square one, I'd say it's a winnable machine. So with that, I will see you in the next video.